We're going to go into just some basic modeling. It should be pretty easy for everyone. Almost everything is square or very, very simple shapes, cylinders, cubes, boxes, and so forth. Break them down to simple shapes, and if they're very complicated and they're beyond you, please let me know. So what we're going to do is just go ahead and basically just use maybe just two images. So I'm going to go into the front view, and we're going to import your image. Let's do maybe the front of the book. So we're going to go View, Import Image, and we're going to go to my desktop and go to Cropped, and we're going to do, let's do the front of the book, okay? So you can see it keeps its ratio, which is fantastic. So if we had put a plane, a square plane, and we projected on it, it would skew it and would not look great. All right, so it's fantastic. You can see it kept the alpha channel, the PSD. That's a great feature now in Maya. Back in the day, would probably put white around there, not understanding what the alpha is. All right, so we're going to do the same for the top. We're going to go to View, Image Plane, Import Image, and rinse and repeat. All right, photo cropped, front, and I misspelled top. All right, let's go ahead and put that in there. All right, so you can see our top is kind of in the wrong trajectory. So I'm gonna go in here and rotate that. Let's see if it gives me any rotational data here. It does not. Interesting. Maybe I can't read image offset. Interesting. All right. I thought it would give me. So we just have basically eyeball it, and it doesn't matter. We're basically just going to use this as a reference on how to make, how thick the book that we want. Maybe even add some curvature. That's some exciting stuff right there to look at. All right, let's go ahead and hit spacebar. And we want to kind of go into, excuse me, perspective. And we hit R, and we're going to squeeze this down so the book and the front book kind of marry together. So we're going to go a little bit smaller and then pull it in. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect. Doing a lot of cheating here, but basically we want the best impression that we can. We aren't laser scanning this, we're just modeling this from scratch. All right, great, we have good representation of that. And so I'm going to go ahead and create a polygon cube. We're going to go ahead and start modeling. All right, you may have it preset for something crazy. All right, I'm going to redo that. Create polygon. I'm going to go dialog box. I have some really weird settings. I'm going to do 40. I think mine's in centimeters, so just go with what you have. All right, we're going to rescale all our objects near the end. All right, just going to just simply just scale this down to this. All right, you're going to go right click vertex, however you want to model it. If you're doing this in Blender, that's fine. All right, start jumping around different perspectives so you can see exactly how big this book is. This helps you get proportions really quickly. All right, and then we'll go ahead and go to another view side. All right, so you may have to do this in perspective because we're not going to be able to see our dimensions here. All right, I'm going to go ahead and pull this over. All right, and all we're doing with this side information is just getting how deep this is. All right, so we're going to go ahead. All right. All right, perfect. That's it. That's all you have to do for a book. Very, very simple. All right, so I'm going to add some edge loops to this. All right, so never put a model square like that. It's going to look really weird, especially in VR once you get up to edges and so forth. It just game engines have a hard time with edges, so it likes a little bit more edging than that. So we're going to go insert edge loop, and I'm just going to put stuff near the edge on all edges. This gives it, oops, Apple Z. All right. Go around the book and add these simple edges. All right, let's go down to the bottom and cut here. Looks pretty good. All right, that'll just add a little bit, and then we're going to just kind of soften it up too. We're going to do some techniques with that. So we're going to go ahead and cut it a couple more times. You know, this is very, very lightweight, so giving it some more geometry is not a bad thing. All right, so now we're going to go to top view. All right, and I'm going to go my selection tool, go my vertex, and just start bending it. So I think it's kind of cool that it has this natural bend. Pull that in. We'll do another cut this direction too. Alright. It's looking pretty good. I'm just going to pull this up. Now it looks like this kind of flanges wide. Alright, you can add a couple more cuts if you want. I'm actually going to go here and do insert. Let's see. I have to go into perspective. I can't see what I'm cutting here. All right. So we know it has a curve here. Let's go ahead and add a few in here. I'm going to go back to my top view here, which was helpful. Spacebar. And we're going to use my vertex. It's hard to see here. Get up close if you want. So go ahead, pull things in. Just kind of shape it the best you can. All right, looks pretty good. All right, so it has some curve to it. All right, I would have probably, I don't know, probably add some more. Again, don't go too crazy because we're going to have probably about 100 objects in the room, and the game engine, we don't want it to slow down. All right, we probably need to pull these in a little bit, kind of add some definition. Let's go back to top view. Spacebar. All right, you're just trying to get it from looking like a box. All right. We're just trying to fake the audience and believing that this is a real book. All right, just pull these things out, pull things in. All right. All right, that looks pretty good. All right, I'm gonna probably stop there with this tutorial. That's a lot, and then on the next one we'll get into UV mapping. So we can go in there and hit show, and I think it's images, maybe image planes. We can turn that off if you want. So really quickly you can see our book is kind of curved, it's deformed because it's old, and has a little bit of this and that. So you can go in here and you can soften these edges in here. Just kind of move them in if you want. It's awfully sharp, so it just gives a little bit of dimensionality to it, especially for the game engine. It'll do a lot better. So you can grab them all at the same time, one at a time, however you want. So I'm not going to go too far with this, but you get the idea. You just kind of want to soften these edges. Go ahead and hit F so we get a little bit closer. Okay, there is a harden edge and soften edge tool within Maya too, with geometry, especially if you get into subdivisional stuff, but we're not going to get into that. All right. That's pretty good. All right, I'm not gonna get too carried away with that. All right, so we're gonna stop there, and then we're gonna show how to delete history and then UV map this on the next tutorial.